Welcome, my name is Raul Melendez, and thank you for joining me on my Week 6 training video discussion board presentation for MPA540 Human Resource Management for the Public Sector. Here we have an overview of today's training. I will be conducting an employee training titled Strengthening Communication and Collaboration in a Multi-Generational Workforce for the proposed Department of Community Access and Navigation. This training was developed using evidence-based employee training principles presented in Chapter 9 of a course textbook, along with current public administration and human resource management research. I will begin by identifying the intended audience, training topic, and learning outcomes. I will also discuss the instructional strategy used to develop this training and examine the evidence-based concepts, as well as apply these concepts during the employee training before concluding with a summary of the key takeaways and the references that support today's presentation. Today's training is designed for community navigators, community health workers, program coordinators, supervisors, and administrative staff working within the proposed Department of Community Access and Navigation. The focus of this training is to strengthen internal communication and collaboration among DCAN employees, enabling teams to work effectively together and deliver coordinated, high-quality public services. Employees from different generations bring valuable experiences, perspectives, and skills to the workplace. We have Collinson and Hoden, 2023, explain that organizations are more successful when they recognize employees' individual strength rather than relying on generational stereotypes. Likewise, the Society of Human Resource Management 2024 emphasizes communication practices that foster collaboration across a multi-generational workforce. Throughout today's training, you will learn practical strategies for communicating across generations, working effectively with colleagues who have different communication preferences, and using mentoring and knowledge sharing to support a collaborative workplace. Ginn and McDonald in 2017 found that supportive workplace relationships contribute to stronger employee engagement, while Lawson 2016 explains that mentoring helps preserve institutional knowledge and prepare future public sector leaders. These practices are also consistent with Bowman and colleagues 2021, who emphasize that effective employee development strengthens organizational performance and public service delivery. By the end of this training, you will be able to apply effective communication strategies across generations, strengthen collaboration and teamwork, and apply mentoring and knowledge sharing strategies to improve public service delivery. You can apply these skills in your daily responsibilities to build stronger working relationships and contribute to effective service delivery for Riverside County residents. The instructional strategy selected for today's training is Microsoft PowerPoint. I selected PowerPoint because it provides a structured and visual organization or organized format that supports employees' learning while reinforcing the key concepts presented throughout today's session. Bowman and colleagues 2021 explained that effective employee training should be meaningful, well-organized, and directly applicable to employees' daily responsibilities. Also, Cannonier and Bates 2020 emphasized that adult learners are more engaged when training is practical, relevant, and immediately applicable to their work. For this training, PowerPoint allows me to present communication strategies, collaboration practices, and mentoring concepts in a clear sequence while combining concise visual information with instructor-led discussion. It also provides employees with a reference that they can revisit after the training, allowing staff to review the material at their own pace and return to key communication, collaboration, and mentoring strategies as needed. The development of today's employee training was guided by 5 evidence-based training concepts presented in Chapter 9 of the course textbook. Bowman and colleagues 2021 explained that effective employee training should motivate employees to learn, demonstrate the relevance of the information to their job responsibilities, encourage active participation, provide meaningful feedback, and reinforce positive workplace behaviors. Rather than simply presenting information, I intentionally designed today's training around these principles to create an engaging learning experience. As we move through the training, you will see how each of these concepts supports communication and collaboration with a multi-generational workforce while encouraging employees to apply these strategies in their daily responsibilities. Before beginning the employee training, I would like to briefly explain how these concepts were incorporated into today's session. Motivation is addressed by connecting learning to the daily responsibilities of employees working with the Department of Community Access and Navigation. Relevance is demonstrated through realistic DCAN workplace situations that employees may encounter while coordinating services for Riverside County residents. Active participation is encouraged by asking participants to reflect on workplace scenarios and consider how they would apply these concepts in present time. Feedback is incorporated by reinforcing effective communication practices and discussing best practices throughout the training. Finally, positive reinforcement supports collaboration and continuous improvement by recognizing the value of effective communication, mentoring, and knowledge sharing. As Bowman 2020 colleagues and 2021 explains, these instructional strategies help create an engaging learning environment that encourages employees to apply what they have learned in the workplace. Now that we have discussed the instructional foundation for today's training, let's begin by focusing on communication across generations. Every employee brings unique experiences, perspectives, and communication styles to the workplace, and those differences should be viewed as organizational strengths rather than barriers. Collinson and Houghton, 2023, explained that effective leaders avoid generational stereotypes and instead recognize employees for their individual talents and contributions. Similarly, the Society for Human Resource Management 2024 recommends establishing clear communication expectations while remaining flexible enough to support different communication preferences. Whether a colleague prefers face to face conversation, email, or virtual communication, our shared responsibility is to communicate respectfully, listen actively, and remain focused on delivering high quality public services. By applying these practices, you can strengthen trust, improve teamwork, and build more effective working relationship across generations. Strong communication is most effective when it is supported by collaboration and a willingness to learn from one another. Lawson 2016 explains that public organizations benefit from experienced employees, shared institutional knowledge, while remaining open to learning new technologies and innovative approaches for newer employees through reverse mentoring. In addition, Jin and McDonald 2017 found that employees' engagement is strengthened when organizations encourage collaboration, continuous learning, and supportive workplace relationships. Within the Department of Community Access and Navigation, mentoring and knowledge sharing can improve teamwork, strengthen professional relationships, and support the coordination delivery for services to Riverside County residents. Now let us apply what we have learned by considering a realistic workplace scenario. For example, imagine an experienced community navigator who prefers discussing case coordination during face-to-face meetings because that approach has been successful throughout their career. At the same time, a newly hired community health worker prefers communicating through Microsoft Teams and email because these tools provide efficiency and flexibility. Before I provide a recommendation, take a moment to consider how you would respond to this situation. Rather than viewing these differences as obstacles, Collinson and Houghton 2023 encourage organizations to recognize the value of individual strengths instead of making assumptions based on age or generation. Likewise, the Society for Human Resource Management 2024 recommends establishing clear communication expectations while allowing flexibility in how employees work together. A strong response would be to respect both communication preferences, establish clear expectations, and focus on the shared goal of effective collaboration and public service. By doing so, employees can strengthen collaboration while continuing to provide high quality public services. As we conclude the instructional portion of today's training, it is important to remember that effective communication and collaboration requires continuous practice. The American Society for Public Administration Code of Ethics emphasizes professional excellence, ethical leadership, and a commitment to serving the public. Likewise, Bowman and colleagues 2021 explained that employee development is most effective when employees apply new knowledge directly to their workplace responsibilities. By communicating respectfully, collaborating across generations, sharing knowledge through mentoring, and remaining committed to continuous learning, you can strengthen teamwork, improve organizational effectiveness, and enhance the delivery for coordinated public services within the Department of Community Access and Navigation. As we conclude today's training, let us review the key concepts we discussed. During today's session, you learned how to apply effective communication strategies across generations, strengthen collaboration and teamwork, and apply mentoring and knowledge sharing practices to improve public service delivery. We discussed the importance of respecting different communication styles, working collaboratively across generations, and using mentoring and knowledge sharing practices to strengthen employee performance and organizational effectiveness. Bowman and colleagues 2021 explained the effective employee training is most successful when employees apply new knowledge directly to their workplace responsibilities. Likewise, Rux and colleagues 2024 emphasized the importance of reinforcing learning and evaluating training outcomes to support continuous improvement and long-term employee development. As you return to your roles within the Department of Community Access and Navigation, I encourage you to apply these strategies to strengthen teamwork, improve communication, and continue delivering coordinated high-quality public services to Riverside County residents. The information presented throughout today's training is supported and developed with evidence-based public administration and human resource management literature, professional best practices, and the concepts presented in Chapter 9 of our course textbook. In conclusion, today's training demonstrated how effective communication, collaboration, mentoring, and knowledge sharing can strengthen the multi-generational workforce. By applying these strategies, employees can strengthen teamwork, improve organizational effectiveness, and support the delivery of coordinated public services within the Department of Community Access and Navigation. If you have any questions or would like additional clarification, I would be happy to address them at this time. If there are no further questions, thank you for your participation and engagement today. I encourage you to apply the communication, collaboration, mentoring, and knowledge sharing strategies discussed throughout this training as you continue serving the residents of Riverside County. Have a great day. Thank you so much.